Hi, it's Mr. Klein here. So this is Unit 2, Target C. And there are two parts to this target. One is that you can round numbers, so you can round to different places. And the second is that you can estimate sums and differences, which means that you're rounding before adding or subtracting, so that you can come up with an estimate. So let's start with the first part, which is rounding to hundreds, tens, the whole number, tenths, or hundredths. So first of all, what is the point of rounding? The reason you would want to round numbers is so that you can have a close enough number that's easier to say or write. So if you look at this example, here we have a number that is 24 and 749 thousandths. That is not a nice round number. So when we say we're going to round it, we're going to find what is it closest to. And there are different ways to round, but in this case we're rounding to the nearest whole number, which is the ones place. So in other words, we're basically asking here, is this number closer to 24 or is it closer to 25? So that we can have a nice even number. Of course we would not write this, but we're rounding the 749 thousandths to zeros, and then we would end up just writing it as 24 or 25 since 0 is nothing. So in terms of how to round, the way that I taught you is to underline the place you're rounding to, so the whole number again is the ones place. Circle the place to the right of it, and then you have two choices. So you can let it rest, which would be 24, or as I said, raise the score is 25. So what that means is when we're looking at the digit to the right of the place we're rounding to, if it's 4 or less, we would let it rest. If it's 5 or more, we would raise the score. And in this case, it's 7, it's 5 or more, so we would round this number to 25. Okay, so let's try another one. So here, it's another rounding. It's 7 and 98 thousandths, and we're rounding it to the nearest hundredth. So the first thing you should do is to underline the place that you're rounding to, which is the hundredths place, and circle the place to the right of it, which is the thousandths in this case. Alright, the next thing that some kids have trouble with is figuring out what your two choices are. So what does it mean to round down or round up here? So round down, remember, is let it rest, and we say let it rest because that means that you are leaving the underline place and everything to the left of it exactly how it is. So let it rest would be 7 and 9 hundredths. Raise the score would be one more than whatever's in that underlined place. So one more than 9 is 10. So the raise the score option here would be 7 and 10 hundredths, or 7 and 1/10 is another way to say it. Okay, so let's see if you can look at the circled digit and decide if you are rounding up or rounding down. Okay, so it's 5 or more, so we would raise the score. So we're going to round it up to 7 and 10 hundredths, or we could just write that as 7 and 1/10. Okay, let's do one more together. So this one says estimate the sum or difference. This would be the second part of the target. And when we say estimate, we're basically trying to find a close enough answer. So you're not actually going to add these two numbers. You are going to round each of them and get an answer that's close enough. And the reason that we would estimate is so that we could find a quick, close enough answer. So in this case, it would be a good idea just to round to the nearest whole number. And we can go ahead and round 32 and 81 hundredths. Underline and circle. You can see we would raise this one up to 33. And then for 53 and 9 hundredths, again, we could round to the nearest whole number, and 53 rounds down to 53. So we end up with 33 plus 53, which we can do mentally. 30 plus 50 is 80, and 3 plus 3 is 6. So 86 is our estimate. Now that's not the actual solution to this addition problem, but this is a close enough answer. We could either use that to check our actual math if we were to solve it, or we could just use it to get a quick close enough answer if, for example, we wanted to know about how much this is. And it's the same thing if you are estimating for a difference. We're looking for about how much is 29 and 1600ths take away 14 and 25 hundredths. So again, we could round to the nearest whole number. And so for 29 and 16 hundredths, we could round to the ones place. And you can see that this would round down to 29. We can round 14 and 25 hundredths also to the ones place. And it's 14. So we end up with 29 minus 14, which again we can do in our head. 20 minus 10 is 10. 9 minus 4 is 5. So 15 is our estimate. That means that this should be close to 15. So there you have it. Two things to practice. The first is to make sure that you can accurately round to different places. Be a good idea to work on Khan Academy or do the quizzes game to work on that. The second is that you can make estimates by rounding each of the two numbers in an addition or subtraction, and then come up with a close enough answer, which we call an estimate. All right, that's it. Bye.